All right, guys, about to get started here within the next 30 seconds to a minute. I would grab a notepad, piece of paper, and pen, jot down some notes. I'll be back here shortly. All right, guys, about 30 more seconds, 30 more seconds. Don't forget the house rules, okay? All right, all right, all right. So you guys can see the title of my podcast this time. Welcome if you're new in here, and you've hopefully you've looked through some of my content. I have a whole library of my content. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Tyreek, your host of Kingdom Diplomat. Okay. So many people in the Western world have no idea what that concept means, but people who grew up in the Eastern world, they have some idea to a small degree of that. But as you go through my old content, you will see a theme going through there. So this channel is not for entertainment, but it is for entertainment. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Yes, it is to make you laugh, but in the process to learn who you truly are and learn about your future is not ahead of you, but actually trapped on the inside of you. So shout out to all the new people. Go ahead and subscribe. You'll get my updates. You'll get my, sometime I hop on here in between my regular Tuesday at 7 p.m. And then also, if you've been following me for the last, 13 months now? Yeah, 13 months. This is episode 57, I believe. So shout out to all my people out there in the Middle East. Real talk. If you go back before the Middle East, before it was changed, that extended Africa actually extended there into the Middle East, and actually her real name is not Africa, not Afrika or Har, but actually her name is Alkebulan. So you should check out the old map of 1288 and type in Alkebulan, Alkebulan, and you'll see that The map was distorted and it's been flipped upside down. But anyway, so without getting into all of that, I just want to drop that gem for you. So yes, if you've been following me all that time, obviously you're always welcome. I appreciate that. Also, head on over to Instagram, please, and just look up Kingdom Citizen. Um, I'm in there also too, and go ahead and follow me there. I'm looking to transition to there because it looks like the AI, how it's programmed, certain things that I look to divulge to you guys. Obviously, there's people that don't want you to know this, right? So a lot of things that I'm talking about through my talks is to obviously to understand, so you can understand who you truly are, why you're here, uh, yeah, who you are, and where your origin is, where you're from, and what you can do. And those 5 questions are the most difficult, vital questions that all mankind needs to answer before they're going to be successful. Now, there's people who have money. There's billionaires out there, millionaires out there, but they don't have the answer to those 5 questions. Most of them are probably one or two. The only reason why I found them is because I employed a law of desire. There's a law of desire, and I got hungry, and it's amazing how when you're honest and you're hungry and you really want to find out those 5 questions, what will present itself to you. It's amazing, right? And obviously, through a lot of reading, a lot of research, I did tell you that I used to be mentored by some millionaires, multimillionaires, some thousandaires, some very successful people in different areas of their life. And I used their knowledge and a conglomeration of that knowledge with a lot of reading over the last 25 years, tons of reading, probably the equivalent of getting a PhD in your field of choice. And learning about success principles. And I have not arrived, but I've been able to apply a lot of these principles and being able to reach some levels of success, which I'm excited about. But I'm more excited about that I'm constantly growing, So hopefully you are, right? Hopefully you're growing in the right direction, not the wrong direction, right? So I got behind me, obviously, let me kind of get out of the way, the law of value. And I emphasized, obviously, you, okay, you, because that's what it all boils down to, okay? So we are on a time limit, a time frame, obviously, on this planet. That's why time keeps eating away, right? So if you do not understand the law of time and what it entails and what you need to do and all the other laws in every area of your life, you're going to waste time, right? If your grandparents and even your parents that I say they're in their 50s or 60s or whatever, and grandparents and even great grandparents, if you had the privilege and honor to still be able to see your grandparents and great grandparents in the natural realm, you should ask them, what's one of their regrets in life. If you can do it all over again, right? Big if you can do it all over again, what would you do differently? And I promise you, most of them will say, because they are honest, and at that age, they really don't care what you think and nobody else thinks at that age. They just say what they're just open, they're not worried about what other people think, or towns or cities or governments or whatever like that. They're going to say what's really on their heart, right? And they're going to tell you, what do you think? I wasted so much time maybe doing this, right? My regret was this, right? So my question to you is, are you going to have that? Are you going to, if you reach that far, let's say into your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or hundreds or whatever like that, are you going to have those regrets, right? So the more you learn about these principles through my library of podcasts and this one I'm about to go through here in the next few minutes, you're going to learn that everything in life can be controlled by getting the right kind of knowledge, right? Notice I said right kind of knowledge, okay? The right knowledge. And the word right, the root word right, which is of righteousness, is not a religious word. It's actually a law-based word. And hopefully you know that the origin of law is land, air, water. Okay, so that's a government term, right? Um, Now, let's go into this. Let's get into this right here. Okay, so last week, obviously, I was talking about the value of you, and that you needed to, number one, know the definition of value. If you don't remember what that definition is, I'm going to go over that real quick. Again, you should write this down, because it's the most important thing. See, if you don't learn how to value you, you're going to put trash in your mind. You're going to do all kind of things to yourself because of programming. Now, let's be honest with this world. The world, overall, the world's thinking is about tearing down, right? It's about being destructive. And obviously, with the nature of man, after the fall, unfortunately, a lot of mankind is extremely selfish. Now, there's obviously good in the world, if you're looking for it, you have to be conditioned for it. But there's a lot of people who do things because of self-hatred, self-cancellation, self-doubt, all the selves of just destroying oneself, right? And I know without a shadow of a doubt that each and every, or should I say all mankind, there's not a one of them who's a mistake. Not all the way back from the first, and not all the way back to the last man, woman, or child that's born, okay? Or child that's born, okay? Is not a mistake, okay? So, with that being said, I like to go over and not give you my opinion. I like to give you the laws and stuff that I've learned from reading these success principle books, reading about the law book. I do experience things that I've learned to do, not to do. So I can't give you everything, but I can kind of give you a snapshot, right? Or a screenshot, so to speak. Okay. So with that being said, laying the groundwork, let's go ahead and get into this. Okay. So let's look up the word value again. All right. So by definition, value essentially means it means like refers to like an estimated or appraised worth of an object. Okay, the estimated or appraised worth of an object, property, or service, typically calculated in monetary terms. Okay, now here's the problem with that. Okay, now I'm sure there's other definitions of it. Let me see if I can find another. Okay, here's another one. The utility of an object in satisfying directly or indirectly the needs or desires of mankind. Okay. Now, let me read you this next one. Value. This is a legal term. A fair return or equivalent in goods, services, or money for something exchanged. So basically, mankind, in a way, is a businessman, a businesswoman, or business child. Probably never heard of that phrase before, but I just made it up. Okay. So what that means is essentially, and some of the things, I may even come up with my own definition of value. I've been thinking about that because I haven't found one that kind of, I believe, that represents mankind, okay, the royal species of mankind. But anyway, but essentially, I'm sure you can agree with me, guys, that it's about your worth, okay? Now, my question to you is, where did you get your worth from? So if you immerse yourself, right, if you assimilate yourself, your mind in the world's system, right, we all grew up in the world system, then there's a lot of things that all of us go through with a lot of that self-doubt, self-hatred, self-cancellation, all these different selves, right? And they're all destructive, right? So we're taught in many ways, especially through the public school system and even private, school systems, guess what? That, we're of little worth, right? And that actually comes from, and I'll say this and I'll keep saying it over and over and over again. Hopefully you get it. I know we got a lot of smart people on here, right? Is that you'll go, oh, before I forget, shout out to all my peoples out there in Asia, okay? Asia, Alkebulan, which would be not modern day Africa. My people down in South America, North America. I got cousins all over North America. I got cousins all over Alkebulan / Africa. I got cousins. Actually, I got a bloodline over there in Central and Eastern Asia. So shout out to y'all too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And obviously, I got cousins out there in the Middle East also too. So through the bloodline. But anyway, um, let's see. So where was I at? Okay. So with value in the law based. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So mankind is a product. Okay. Now if you've worked for somebody for 30, 40 years, 50 years, whether you worked for somebody for 5 years, or maybe you don't have a job yet, just depending how young you are or how much older you are, it does not matter. You actually are a unit, right? And you are a product, right? A product, product. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's look up that word. I looked up the word product, and here's the definition of that. And I'm going to quote a man who his legacy I really much respect, Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi. He said, "A man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes." Right, and so he quoted King Solomon, Hebrew. Um, Black guy who actually was the world's wealthiest man, and today's money would be worth trillions of dollars. But he said, "As a man thinketh," talking about the species called mankind, and his heart, that heart right there means mind, so is he or she. Okay. So whatever you put into your computer, that's what you're going to spit out, right? However, this computer that you're watching me on, right, this little handheld computer, this cell phone, right, is or was programmed, right? There was programming into that, right? And if you follow the instruction booklet of the manufacturer, right, the instruction booklet or the manual, which is the manufacturer's mind. Now, before I get into that, let me give you the definition of manufacturer. You should write this down. You should look up this later on. Okay, so a manufacturer is someone who manufactures something. A business engaged in manufacturing some product, right? So the thing about a product, right? The thing about mankind, the thing about you, me, man, woman, child, the species called mankind, is that we're a product. Okay. So each product has a manufacturer, right? And they also have a co-manufacturer. Let's look at this example. So you can use any product. There's billions of products today that there's around, and there was billions of products, the last 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 years, all kind of products that mankind discovered. But they had to have a manufacturer, right? And those products have laws integrated in them, right? So one thing about a product, listen to me now, you should write this down, is that a product has an image imprinted on it, right? But when you look at the process of a manufacturer, before it goes into the marketplace, a product has an image put on it, but it's not put on it at the beginning. It's put on the product at the end. Now, why is that? Well, you have to think about this. Some of you watching me right now may have discovered a product or a service, right, that nobody else is doing. Okay, great. That's awesome. That creativity is already inside of you, was already programmed inside of you. You're a creator. Okay, all, should I say, small caps. Okay, small caps. So we're all creators, right? We're all leaders also too, but we're trapped in a follower. Okay, so I'm talking about the law of value, valuing you. Okay, this is how when you understand this law right here, you don't have to depend on any one person or any one thing. Okay, not to say that you don't have to. You can be interdependent, right? Okay, as long as you are able to function and do the things that you're able to do with this right here, um, then you can, and you understand your value, you can accomplish whatever you're supposed to accomplish, the vision, right, that was already put inside of you. Okay, that's part of your equipment. So the vision is the image of what you see yourself doing when you were younger. Okay, so you should not ignore that, and most people unfortunately have ignored that, which has to do with the system that has, we've buried that down, deep down, right? Get your head out of the clouds, boy, girl, whatever language, whatever they would say, whether it be your parents, whether it be your uncles, aunts, whether it be your friends or whatever like that, associates, teacher, government official, whatever, plug in fill in the blank. Okay, there's people that have doubted us, right? But the most doubt that counts and that really increases or decreases our life and determines whether or not we can get that vision out of us, right? Our future, which is our future, right? Remember, it's not ahead of you, right? It's not external, it's actually trapped on the inside of you in the form of a seed, okay? So the manufacturer is already programmed in the product everything that product needs to succeed. So there's an attachment there. They're connected. The manufacturer and the product, okay, they're connected. Now the manufacturer already has that already in their mind. A company put a company's name in there of a product, right? And it says we got enough information from the public, and this is the product we're going to make. They already have people they hire to write it out, okay, type it out. And as a matter of fact, the marketplace, the consumer, right? I like to say prosumer because all of us should be prosumers, not consumers. Consumer is people who just eat and use. They're the useless eaters, right? Prosumers is which we actually were designed to be, is to not only do that first one, but also produce something for other people, a service, a product, right? Entrepreneur, business unit. Remember, that's by definition, okay? So whether you know it or not, you're actually a business unit, you're a product, okay? Now, so not only those laws are already programmed into that product before that product is even made, right? It has to be down on a piece of paper, okay? It has to be designed, has to be thought out. But that manufacturer's reputation is at stake. So they're going to put all the research, right? They're going to put all the money. They're going to have they're going to have a group of people to hit at different angles. They're going to develop the product, right? And then they're going to, before it even hits the market, okay? So follow me here. They're going to, before they even put that image at the end of that product, they're going to put a prototype together, okay? A prototype. You should write that down. Prototype, okay? So the manufacturer already has in mind what the product is going to do, how it's going to function, yada, yada, yada. Now, they may not have the complete image, but they got a prototype, okay? So they hire people in white suits, right, with a product, with the prototype to test it, okay? They're constantly testing, for instance, the phone or the car or the blanket that they're selling or the Yeti that they're selling or whatever it is, fill in the blank, okay? They're constantly testing it, right? Sending out emails to the prosumers out there of the world, that the niche of the people that they're trying to target, okay? And they want to get feedback, and then those people in the white suits, and they're adding this and they're adding that and they're taking away this and they're plussing this and they're minusing this and they're tweaking this and they're tweaking that. And so finally, after a year, 2 years, or 3 years, or whatever, right, they go into manufacturing, okay, as they're doing that, right? So we got it down to a science, right? We got it, okay? And so they still testing it, and then at the end, after they went through everything from A to Z, right? One to infinity, right? And they finally, and even then, let me back up, even then before they put the image on it, they still have people that test it internally, right? They still may ship it out to some people out there, a lot of prosumers out there, like you and I, right? To even say, hey, tell us what you think about this. And then when they get the feedback from that, some of them will do that. And then when they get the feedback from that, guess what they'll do? They'll put their image on it. They'll stamp it at the end. Okay, stamp it, right? Because their reputation is there. Now, what if they stamp that image on there, right? They put the instruction booklet in there. They put it out there on the market. All these tens of millions or hundreds of millions of people buy the product. And let's say 6 months later on, it harmed somebody or there was a defect or something like that. So the owner or the manufacturer of that company will actually announce, hey, we noticed that this model has come about, or this problem has come about with this model. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace it, right? If you're having this problem, please fill out this information, send the email back. Okay. Some of you had this happen. I've had this happen a few times with different products. And we will replace the product. We will try to fix it first. And if we can't fix it, we'll replace it, right? Who wouldn't do that, right? So if it's a phone, then you're kind of like, you just got to figure that one out, That's why you just go back to your flip phones, right? Go back to your flip phones. Let's start a flip phone revolution, okay? So you can't be tracked and all that stuff like that, right? But anyway, so they send it back. You send it back. You send the product back, right? If they can't fix it, they send it back to you, okay? And then it works, right? And so that costs them not only all the money that they invested in making the product and advertising the product, and then you sending it back, they paying for the shipment, and then they giving you a new one, tens of millions of people, maybe new ones. That's going to cost them a lot. But why do they do that? Well, they don't know you, the prosumer. They don't know me, the prosumer. A lot of them, the manufacturer, just generally, a lot of them don't care, but they care about the product. Okay? They care about the product, and because of their reputation is attached to that, right? It's an extension, okay? If you ask your niece, your nephew, your son, your daughter, your cousin, your uncle, whatever like that, and let's just say, better than that, just fill in the blank with somebody that you know. Let's say you're trying to get a message to your dad, okay? And you can't call him, whatever, and let's say they're 2 doors down, okay? Nobody's answering the phone, whatever, and you send your 18-year-old over there. Hey, go tell your dad, go tell my dad this, okay? Go tell your granddad this, okay? You follow me? And your dad knows your character, right? You know his character. You send your son over there to tell your dad something, and the dad knows exactly what you mean through the son. Okay, maybe I didn't give that. Maybe I can give a better example. In other words, he knows your character, okay, because of your reputation, right? You've been good for your word. Hey, ask your granddad, can I borrow, $300? Okay. Well, the 2 previous times you asked that, 500, 1,000, whatever it is, you paid him back, right? You did what you said you were going to do. So I hope you follow me here. So because you have a really good reputation, right? Your dad was willing to do that. Okay. Your son told the granddad, and the granddad said, hey, okay. Okay. So anyway, so with that being said, let me turn this down. All right. So with that being said, in closing, let me go ahead and wrap this up. Okay. So let's look at, I talked about value. I talked about the product, and I talked about the manufacturer. I talked about the image. So these are some ways I learned through the last 25 years to how to increase the value of you. Okay. So first of all, you have to make a decision, right? Nothing happens until you start making a decision and saying, hey, you know what? I need to get better at this right here, right? Because you got to understand something. Relationships, there's laws in there. There's financial laws. There's all these different laws that we need to know, right? So ignorance is definitely not bliss. Now, when there's friction in any situation, that means obviously we're fallible. We make mistakes, But if it keeps happening over and over again, that means that we need some more knowledge in that area. Okay, and that's what I realized, right? Sometimes it's going to take a little bit longer. You got to dig deep. You got to read more. You got to do some more things. Okay, you have to gain the knowledge. You have to get the understanding, right? And then as you get the understanding, stand under it, right? And you apply it, after a while you start learning, and then you overstand. Overstand means you completely deeply understand it, kind of like at a subterranean level, like a meta level, non-physical level, like a spiritual level, unseen level, right? You kind of understand the law, okay, or the principle of whatever it is you're trying to get, okay, or the outcome that you want. So when you learn the right laws, you just plug them in there, right? You plug the details of that law, right? And then what happens is you get an equal of success, right? You can control the circumstances when you learn those laws, right? So, I mean, I've said it before, the law of lift, the law of gravity, the laws of electricity, there's all kind of laws, the laws of love, right? Um, the laws of righteousness, the laws of finances, the laws of business. There's all different kind of laws that are long term, right? They are eternal, right? And these are laws that you can actually, and I would be a proponent of this, is actually pass this on to your kids once you've proven them out, and that's what I've done. Okay. Now I haven't arrived nowhere near it, but I'm still learning, right? And the key word in learning is not the word learn, although that's important. It's the ing part, constantly moving forward. Okay. Constantly learning. Okay. Little by little, inch by inch is a cinch. Okay. So that's it. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, let me read you this last one. So here's another definition. You should look this up. It's called image. Okay. Image means a visual representation of something. Okay. A likeness of an object produced on a photographic material. Right. So basically, that's the vision. Okay. That's the vision that all of us were given. So your future is already trapped on the inside of you. Okay. Now, some of you may be living your vision right there. Well, if you still have breath in your lungs, which you obviously do, that's maybe a checkpoint. Okay. That's not the complete vision. Maybe that's a chapter in your life, right? I don't care if you're 70. I don't care if you're 100. I don't care if you're, 18. It doesn't matter your age. Okay. There's still more things to do. Okay. That you can do. How many more people can you help? Right. It's about legacy. Okay. The life is not about me and my four and no more, right? Hoarding, right? One of the worst lies, most terrible lies that we've been programmed with, guys, is very simple. And if you think about it, it doesn't even make any sense, is shortages. Okay. There's not a shortage of water. There's not a shortage of money. There's not a shortage of grass, air. There's not a shortage of food. There's not a shortage of natural resources. Okay. There's not a shortage of anything, right? We were designed with an abundance of things. Now there's some finite things in there, right? There's a shortage of a certain amount of animals, right? If we don't take care of, the animals, some of them can go extinct. Okay. Same thing with us. Okay. Mankind, right? Same thing. So with that being said, that's pretty much it, guys. I wanted to keep things very simple, want to keep things very practical. So what do you do next? Well, it's very simple. Watch this again, at least 2 or 3 times. Hopefully you've been meditating on this. Hopefully you took some of the direction that I gave you before, that I learned years and years and years ago, is to find out where you want to go in order for a seed, right? The law of seed time and harvest time, in order for that seed that's trapped on the inside of you, the vision, you have to put yourself in the right environment. Okay. And then also what you have to do before you even do that is you have to assess your current situation. Are you satisfied 100% of where you are in life? Okay. And are you just floating through life, or are you excited about life? Is it a mundane, right? You just can't, right? Are you excited about, hurting people? Are you excited about stealing, lying, cheating, murder, and destroying? Are you excited about doing this, doing that um, to yourself? Or are you excited about life and achieving? Notice I said achieving, it's a process of going after the vision that's already put inside you. Now, I know many of you, hopefully not most of you, won't achieve it. And I believe that's sad because there's many people, some of you thousands, some of you hundreds, some of you thousands, some of you millions, some of you maybe billions, are all attached. No one is greater than the other, right? We're all working together, okay? Part of the mankind family, right? The family of mankind, right? The royal species. And so I believe that every man, woman, and child has those gifts, and it's their duty to get them out. But you're not going to find this from your boss. You're not going to be told this from your professor. Most likely, you're not going to be told this from, your employee, or you're not going to be told this from many people in your family, because you really have to look for this type of stuff, right? You have to be hungry for it. So, shout out again to everybody out there in the Northwest, okay? Or North America, South America, all my peoples out there in the Kebulin, which would be Africa, Middle East, all my peoples out there in Europe. I forgot to mention you guys earlier. Got a bloodline flowing through there, also too out there in Asia, and South America, and also down there with my cousins down there in the islands. Yeah, yeah. Bahamas, Trinidad, all my peoples down there. What's up? So I love you guys. Please, 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 please don't keep wasting time, guys, because I'm telling you, there's some things that are coming financially, things that are coming not just in North America, but they're already brewing in Europe. They're already brewing in Asia. I mean, this is going to be all around the world because all the economy is connected to each other. Okay. And I just want you guys to get these laws. And I just wanted to relay the message to you that the best is yet to come. See, when you learn these laws, it doesn't matter what happens in life. Okay. And believe you me, I know that life can come at you, right? He can come at you in many different ways. Okay. But get to a certain point to where you know a lot of different laws, so you don't have to go run to a book or anything like that. You know it because you put the right stuff here, right? And you don't react in fear, but you respond in faith and you attach works to that. Okay. So you guys have a great week. Possibly I may be on later on this week to drop some more nuggets for you guys. And also too, I'm excited about I'm about to start to work on my first book. And I'm pumped up about that also too. And I got some other things up here, some other ideas that I'll drop a little bit later on. But you guys have a great, great week. And please don't let time pass you by. Have a good night.